Well, now we could. All right, sorry everyone, we're a few minutes late. If there's anybody catching this actually live, I don't know. StreamYard hates my mic sometimes. It's the only excuse I have. So this is a super last minute, really quick guess trailer reaction and panel discussion. Since it's super last minute, it's just myself and on this evening. Oh, and I don't know what's happening right now. Okay, there we go. I think Facebook Live just really hates me. So anyway, John, you watched the IGN panel or just the trailer?
I just watched the trailer.
Okay. So I watched the panel too. I actually really just this morning because real life and everything. But what were your thoughts on the trailer? Because there were some things that I was kind of like meh about. But overall, like I think it looks really good. So
Well, I said it looked fantastic. I thought I
yeah,
was impressed with the costumes. I was impressed with the special effects. I tend to stop things to see the flaws in the effects, and I didn't see any obvious ones. So the only thing that sort of bugged me about the trailer a little bit was the fact that they all speak with British accents, and they're supposed to be Russian.
Well, I mean, I think at this point, I'm not going to really argue with that because I feel like there would have been a lot of training and whatnot, or possibly like narrowing their field of who they could cast if they were worried about accents being Russian. I guess I suppose it's better than like
Well,
a mix of like Russian, American, and British accents, maybe.
well, except that listen to me. This is supposed to be a show that takes place over a world, and hypothetically, you're gonna when we get to Ketterdam and some of the other places, I would expect different accents there. So if
Right.
everyone speaks with a British accent, I don't think this is great. I mean, that's just my own 2 cents. And yes, Game of Thrones, they seem to have more. It wasn't perfect, but they seem to have some different accents from the different areas of the world.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, most of them had British accents, but there were also a lot of. There were some people who tried to do accents and didn't always do the best job. But that's neither here nor there. So I some of the things I kind of noted when I was watching, because I watched the trailer about 6 times. I tried pausing it to get some views of things, saw people posting on Reddit, but couldn't really catch anything. I couldn't get the freeze frame that people were posting on Reddit. So if anybody watches this and is interested, I do know that there's some people who did some good screenshots of freeze frames on it's reddit.com. If you don't know Reddit, reddit.com/r/Grishaverse. So there's been quite a few freeze frame like stills posted there. But one of the weird things was that when Alina is first talking to Mal, she seems very like fierce in this trailer, but then they go as they're about to go into the fold, she like closes her eyes and like sucks in a breath and looks kind of frightened, and it's like I don't know, it seemed a little like it was a little off-putting, I guess, because she and honestly for the rest of the trailer she seemed very fierce as well, and it's like I hope that they do a better job in the show as a whole of and I think this would probably be more about writing and direction, but I hope they do a better job in the show as a whole of having Alina, if she's going to be fierce, let her be fierce, not this weird mix of like because in the book she's very timid, she's very rarely badass, let's be real, in the first book especially. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what happens there.
yeah. I mean, I actually didn't notice that much. I was too busy looking at the overall picture to pay
Yeah,
quite attention to where, and knowing that they're doing it out of context. So
yeah,
you're seeing a splash here that could have been filmed earlier or later or whatever.
right.
Um, I mean, as I said, I think intuitively as I watched it, it it seems like this season is going to be focused much more on the Shadow and Bone that books than what the happenings in Ketterdam. I just get that impression, and I
Yeah. I mean the trailer itself, and that's something I know that I messaged our webcast like group chat about yesterday is, it's the trailer feels very like welcome to the Dark Lena show. Oh wait, let's show you some other random people for some reason. Like
exactly.
I feel like if somebody's watching this and hasn't read the books, they'd be like, wait a minute. So it's this girl and this guy, and it's Ben Barnes and this girl, and she's obviously like important and like main female character, and Ben Barnes is like doing the voiceover for the whole thing. But who are these other people and why are they there?
Well, and Mal was in enough of them to say that you
Yeah,
could come up with he's important, but everyone
right.
else is like an irrelevancy to that trailer.
And it
Um,
feels very herky jerky, like they're just kind of and to be honest, their shots are some of the best like moments in the trailer. Jesper's wink and shooting the coin, I think, in the air, and Ina's dropping from the rafters of something, and like lowering her. Ooh, I hit my mic. Lowering her
Lowering
veil.
herself, yeah.
Like honestly, like it's all like their shots are some of the best, probably the best shots and the most interesting parts of that trailer, but they seem very out of place and nonsensical compared to the very obvious like focus on Alina and the Darkling. So I know that in the panel, and they might have said this in an article previously, and it was pretty obvious to me that this was going to be the case, even if they did say it in a previous interview or article or something, I missed it. But the Crows stuff, the stuff in Ketterdam, is definitely going to be all prequel, which again,
Okay.
like I assumed, but I never saw it confirmed or heard it confirmed until the panel that aired yesterday. So like there's the one shot that somebody pulled off and put the still of on Reddit of Jesper, and it seems, I think this person is very convinced that he's on a sand skiff, not a boat in it. It's a super it's around the 145 mark in the
Yeah.
trailer. Yeah. And to me, I thought, I just assumed it was a boat in Ketterdam.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But the people on Reddit are saying like, no, look at the background. I don't know. They're seeing something I'm not seeing, but they're swearing up and down that he's on a sand skiff. Now they very specifically said they think it looks like he's on like a Lena's sand skiff. So that could be a shot from very late in the series. Yeah. So I don't want to give away too much, in case people haven't watched or haven't read the books, but yeah, so it appears that there's a very good chance, that the Crows and Alina and at least are going to meet up in this first season in a way that like, never I mean, honestly, I can say this never happens in the books. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Yeah, and the idea of the prequel actually makes some sort of sense, that you get some more background, because otherwise I mean, if you went strictly, you could do the Game of Thrones model where you just introduce new characters in season 2, but
Right. Yeah. Well, and
I
they're
think
definitely going to be introducing, and again, I don't, gosh, because this is something non-book readers might actually
right.
watch. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
no.
there are some characters who do not, some very important characters who do not even show up in the first trilogy until the second book. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested to see, when they come about. And I know there's
But
at least one Six of Crows duology character who doesn't really belong in the prequel stuff either, and is showing up later. So
what I was really glad of is how good it looked. I mean, I was somewhat worried this might be done on the cheap.
yes, I mean, that was my worry a while back, but the more I heard about the production itself, the more it sounded to me like it was going to be well done. Is it going to be giant Game of Thrones budget level? I mean, probably not, but like
But Game of
that.
Thrones budget level wasn't Game of Thrones budget level at the beginning either.
Exactly. There were quite a lot of horses in this trailer. That kind of surprised me. I was because that was actually a joke amongst the Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones fans, like where are all the horses after a certain point, because there were very few horses for a long while, and people like, I don't think people really understand a lot of the time how expensive horses are on movie and TV sets. So, and when I was watching this trailer, every time there was a horse or horses, I was like, horse, another horse, more horses.
When we were in Europe one year, and I saw that they announced on the news that if you live in Ireland and you have a horse, they need, or in the UK and have a horse, they need riders who are willing to be an extra.
Yeah,
and I was sitting there trying to figure out how I could get my daughter and her friend into as extras.
How could you get their horse there?
Well, Bianca actually had her horse, but it was in Spain, so.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it never happened, and Bianca said, "You wouldn't want my horse there. My horse would kick some other horse." So, you needed a docile horse that could deal with crowds too. It wasn't just any horse.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm enough of a horse girl. I had horses when I was younger, so yeah, these are all very true things. All right, well, so other things about the trailer, that I noticed, there's that little clash in the snow that I couldn't tell if that was like maybe something going on in Fierda, like maybe part of Nina and Matthias's situation, or if it was Mal off, hunting.
I thought it was Mal hunting.
Yeah. I was a little torn, but since it's two small groups of men, I assumed it was more likely to be Mal off doing things in the army as such as he is. And again, like I said, it's funny how sure of themselves and like cool the crows seem compared to like Alina and Mal. Like, it's like, what are these cool people doing in this trailer? Like, do they even go here?
Yeah, no.
But and the other thing that I wanted to point, or a couple other things, they gave the whole like giant, sunlight power thing away like right away in the trailer. Like I get that it's probably happening in the first episode of the show, but I was kind of like, wow, okay, they should just show the whole thing.
What is that?
And so they just showed the whole thing in the trailer, and then also the Volcra, but they look really cool. I'm actually pretty like I don't know how they're going to look up close, because in the trailer they were so close that it's like you couldn't really see what was going on when the Volcra's like looming behind one guy, but when they did like the one quick shot of like off in the distance and they were flying around, they looked really good.
So, yeah, and the shot of the one Volcra with Mal.
Yeah. So like super close up, we'll see, but like the mid range and long range views definitely looked really, really good. Oh, and this is just a random aside, but like there was like an old guy among the Grisha, like wearing the kefta and everything, and I was like, wait a minute, since when are there old people? Like other than we know that there's what's his name, Boskin. I can't. It starts with it's something. It starts with a B and it ends with Kin. Can't remember his name. The guy that does some of the training, like him and Bagra are like the only like older people
right.
Like I remember ever being like talked about in the book. So I was like, who is this guy? Is it the old guy who does like the training, or is it just some random old Grisha? Like it just
it makes sense there would be some older Grisha.
Right, of course. It was just really like, oh, okay, they're just okay, good. Because even when Alina meets the Darkling and everything, like she's describing how beautiful and everything all the Grisha surrounding her in the tent are, and it's like, oh, there's this old guy.
Well, but don't all the Grisha age slower though? They
do. So like this guy looks like in real life, real person years, this guy looked like he was probably like 70s, like, but in Grisha years, he could be like 200, I guess.
Right.
um,
And the other thing is, I didn't notice Nina or Zoya in the trailer, and I don't know if they're there or not. But if they were in such in the background, I couldn't tell who they were. They could have been anyone.
Yeah, I thought like there's a chance that Zoya was one of the Grisha that's standing around in the darkling,
right?
And but they were it was kind of dim. All the background characters. The only reason I noticed the guy was because he's so old and out of place. But yeah, so I mean, other than that, like the panel afterwards, I know you didn't watch it, but it was really good. As I mentioned before, they did, they clarified that all of the Crows stuff, the Six of Crows stuff, is going to be prequel things that we've actually never seen before. So it was actually kind of interesting, that Leigh's exact words were that the show's story is deeply true to the books, but also offers people a completely new adventure. And the way she said it was like, it was actually entirely separate from the comment about the Crow stuff being all prequel information. So I'm definitely interested. Like, surely the new stuff for them is a big part of that whole completely new adventure, but it's like, ooh, but what else are we going to see? Well, what else did they change,
Well, I suspect they're gonna, if indeed that was Jesper on Alina's skiff, and they meet, then that's obviously added to the story, so they have to figure out a way to bring the groups together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, oh, is it going to be all of them, or is it going to be just Jesper? Yeah. I'm very, yeah. I'm, the trailer left me feeling, I feel good about this. But there's definitely still some things that it's like, they could still mess it up really bad. So.
Yeah. And it actually makes sense to be prequel in that case, though. Again, Nina is was originally like what, 10 years old when this started?
Yeah, she was.
So obviously they're aging up some of the characters here.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, but we talked about that on past episodes, and I think that was kind of always going to be obvious that they were. I mean, honestly, when you saw the casting, you knew they had to be aged up, and also like the stuff with like the Darkling and Alina, it's weird enough when it's like, it's weird enough in the books. They definitely needed to age her up if they were going to have any physical interaction like that with them in the show. So I know I feel bad because it's like, I'm guessing nobody who hasn't read the books or who hasn't at least been following stuff online and seen, because that's the thing. The fandom, as wonderful as it's been online so far and on Facebook and on Reddit, like they don't really they don't really hide spoilers about the first trilogy at all, which is like, it's been out for a billion years. Who cares, right? But like, I feel like I'm just waiting for that moment that we had in the Song of Ice and Fire fandom where you get to show people, like people only watch the show.
Red Wedding.
Yeah, like not just the Red Wedding, but so many things. Like, and listen, like I get it. It sucks being spoiled, but like, I think there's like two sides to gatekeeping. Like, obviously we don't want to keep new people out of the fandom at all, but also like, we need to be mindful of spoilers, but they need to be mindful that they're probably going to stumble into them, especially right now when, people who've been reading the books for so long are like not sure what level what we need to do, to avoid spoiling. Like it's hard.
Yeah, and I was just on a chat over Facebook on something, and someone said spoiler, and the author who actually wrote the story we were talking about says like, the book came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
So yeah, so like I but yeah, the trailer itself, I mean, again, with the like, it already kind of spoiled some of the biggest things that happen in the first like third of the book Shadow and Bone. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how fast they move the plot along. I mean, Leigh in the panel was. It seems that she's very involved in the show, that she's very happy with the direction that they took it in. Some really interesting things is I had no idea she used to write movie trailers. So that's fun. Just a fun tidbit. And then also I didn't know Leigh Bardugo herself walks with a cane.
Yeah, she has.
I
I
honestly
knew
had
she
no
was
idea.
handicapped.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I've never really looked up much about her, and any articles I've read have never mentioned it. So that was, it's eye opening in in regards to her writing, a character who also has a cane, who also has a disability, and her words about the show bringing Kaz and his cane to life, and how that, writing it is one thing, but seeing it like on screen is another. That it was a
And the
really
cane was cool too. There was a
yes.
good picture of the cane.
Yeah, and it's some people on Reddit were speculating, oh, well, do you think he's going to just already have it, or is that going to be part of the prequel that we get? And honestly, in the books, you find out that Kaz actually hasn't had his cane all that long. So I think there is a chance that within the first episode or two, if obviously if he shows up in the first episode and he already has his cane, we're not going to get that. But there's a chance that in the first episode or second episode or something like, or early on, we might get that story, that backstory. So that'll be interesting to see. But I mean, other than that, like, I don't know, any other thoughts on like the trailer or
No,
anything?
I just look forward to it on April 23rd.
Oh, I know.
I now know what I'm doing April 23rd.
The countdown is maddening at this point. Like, I was already really excited about it, but the more we get, the more stills, the more the teaser. First there was like the teaser, then there were the stills, and there was more stills and posters, and now there's an actual trailer. They're really, really ramping this up, and Netflix has put out a lot of shows recently that there was like zero publicity for it, like zero. Just all of a sudden it showed up on Netflix like a week before that this show was coming out in a week or whatever, and sometimes less than that. Sometimes it was like the day it was out. It was like that Fate Winx
Yeah,
Saga show.
yeah, I don't understand how Netflix does anything.
I think, I mean, it's honestly, I guess they pick and choose what they're really going to push, and this is something that they are clearly really pushing. So, which I'm glad for, because the more people that watch it, obviously, the more people to watch it, the more like chance there is that we will get a second season. But I think I'm gonna, at this point, unless somehow it just really totally bombs within the first few days, I think that we'll
Yeah,
get
I think you'll
within the
get at
first
least two
week or
seasons out of
less
it.
that they're, yeah, but
And
hopefully more.
it's just an investment in so many sets and everything else, and it's
Right.
not the same business model as it used to be, where you actually have to have immediate viewers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that shoot, they have shows that like Bridgerton. I don't know if they understand. I don't know if they knew it was going to be as big of a hit as it was, but it came out and it
Or the
was,
Queen's Gambit, for that matter.
yeah, like I mean, these are shows that were like number one on Netflix, and then when they drop from number one, they're still in the top 5 months later, and it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, so they're pushing this one a lot more than they have a lot of other shows in recent history. So, fingers crossed. And again, the trailer was amazing. So, and if you get a chance, I would definitely watch especially book readers, I would definitely watch the panel as well. Because there was also a line from the actor who plays Jesper, who said that if you have read the books, everything they do in the trailer is or no, wait, how is it worded? He said, if you have not read the books, then you can just watch the show as is and enjoy it that way. But if you do know the books, then everything we do is a potential spoiler, which is weird because I don't know, the way that was
Well,
worded was weird to me.
well, I mean, if you want to go back and read the books, and you've watched the show, you'll know a lot of the plot line.
Yeah. Well, but he's saying
Just
like
like I
everything
mean, in
they're
some ways, we're spoiled, right? Because we already know generally what the plot line
right.
is.
I mean, especially because we've read it so recent, or read it or reread it so recently. But yeah, so the way he worded that was just really interesting to me. So yeah, I was like, okay, well, that's good to know. I don't. Again, like I feel like I've already been spoiled in a way because I read the books. Spoiled. Obviously, I'm using that term badly or loosely or whatever. But all right. Well, I know this was like a super quick, just chat about this stuff, but it made me so much more excited for the show and excited for the rest of our coverage because we've still got the rest of King of Scars, which is this Wednesday, March 3rd, and then we're covering Lives of Saints on March 17th. Then we're all, I think, attending the virtual release party for Rule of Wolves on Tuesday, March 30th, I believe it is.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's, and then on the 31st, we're doing our webcast that night is going to be recapping the Rule of Wolves event. And then, of course, like a week later, we're covering, actually having read Rule of Wolves. It's such a Rule of Wolves. And then, of course, at the very end of April, we're giving ourselves just under a week to watch all of the show, and then we'll be covering it in the webcast at the end of April. So yeah, so much more Grishaverse coverage. I'm very excited for all of it, and I don't know, maybe we'll get some more stills, some more interviews, or some more trailers. We'll see.
All right. I need to run because I actually am supposed to be somewhere at 7:30. So
all right. Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody,
night.
for watching. Bye.
Bye.